Ag PhD full episodes and more are now available on Acres TV, the newest ag platform connecting you to fields of information. Look for us on watchacrestv.com.
During our Farm Basics time today, we're going to talk about what is soil compaction and how do farmers reduce it.
Well, what is compaction? First of all, well, you think about compacted anything. It's generally not very good. And compacting soil presses that soil down, takes oxygen out of the soil, potentially takes water out of the soil. That's not a good thing when you're trying to grow a crop. So if you've got compaction out in a field where something is packed together, you have to figure out how can we get rid of that, because otherwise it's going to be tough to grow a crop.
Well, the reason why is because if the compaction is so strong, so heavy, so dense, the roots can't grow through it. Maybe even water can't necessarily get through it. We want to move things down through the soil. Well, if the water, the nutrients, the roots, if they can't move down, now we end up with a lot of problems. And yes, it can dramatically hurt yields if we have a lot of compaction in a field.
All right, so how do we get compaction? One way is driving equipment out in the field when the field is too wet or maybe even too fluffy and loose. Then that can pack things down and you say, oh, no problem. Let's just go back to doing everything by hand. But when you figure out the pounds per square inch that you're putting on the ground through your shoes, it's very similar to what's getting put on by these great big tractors. And the reason why, they've got tires that spread that load out. So you'll see oftentimes tractors having duals or triples on, where they have 2 or 3 wheels on each side of an axle, trying to do everything they can to reduce the compaction out there. They can actually get it down to where they pack the ground even less than a 200-pound man in a size 10 shoe is going to pack it.
Also, reducing the amount of air that is in those tires to spread that load helps. There are some people that will use tracks instead of tires, so those are certainly options. But the biggest things I usually focus on are we've got to have good drainage out there. So that may mean you need to put tile in the ground. It may mean you need to get more calcium in the soil. And certainly in almost all soils, we want to see more organic matter. The more organic matter you have, the better that soil has. It's basically going to be more like a sponge. So it can absorb some water, but also when you compress it a little bit, it kind of expands back again afterwards. So those are a lot of the things that I usually talk to people about.
Now, to get rid of compaction, if you already have it, probably the most common thing farmers will do is just run out and do some tillage. If you get that tillage tool to go lower than where that compacted layer is at, you can rip it up in one shot. Now you just have to be careful not to recompact the ground. Get some crop growing, get the root system established down through the soil, and do everything you can, like Brian was mentioning, with balancing out the nutrients in the soil and those types of things. And you can make your soil a little bit more resistant to compaction. And over time, you also want to build up organic matter in the soil. That will help with that tilth or looseness of the soil.
The other thing we get a lot of questions about is deep-rooted crops. Is it possible with turnips or radishes or some of these perennials that have very deep roots that you can break up compaction? Yes, it's possible. It's not always going to happen, but that certainly is a possibility. I'd also say, going back to Darren mentioned tillage to reduce compaction, there are a lot of ways you can do that. If you want to first find where the compaction level is at, that's great, but then get right below that with your tillage tool, even better. Now the question is, do we want to rip everything up, or do you just want to slice through it and create some spots where the roots can get down? If the roots can get down in some spots, maybe they can bust that soil compaction up from below a little bit better. So a lot of different ways to handle that with different tillage tools.
Well, compaction doesn't just go away on its own. Contrary to popular belief, the freeze-thaw activity can help reduce compaction a little bit, but we still see compaction from where the wagon trails went through our country more than 100 years ago. So some of those hard compacted zones will need some human intervention to get them fixed. Well, one other thing that could require human intervention on your farm is controlling our weed of the week. We'll show you how to do it coming up later in the show.